Ladies and gentlemen, rock aficionados, or just people who like a bit of rock music, welcome to Music and People Journeys, the new rock album review show. Welcome to today's decimated panel, but neither the high quality of Chris and Trish.
It's the Three Amigos.
The Three Amigos! Unfortunately, Dom's on a sabbatical, Dave's on a sabbatical due to work commitments, and Lauren is not well, but she has voted, so we do have the minimum four votes required that in our own little world is required to guarantee or solidify their vote. Anyway, what do we do? We reviewed the latest rock albums, give them a rating out of 5. It's for our own personal listening pleasure, no more than that. How much did we personally enjoy the album? And if it gets 4 or more, gets to the Hall of Fame, maybe even to Album of the Year. Who knows? There's only a couple of months now left this to get into the Hall of Fame. We are starting today with Bite the Bullet, a new album, Looking for Paradise. Who are Bite the Bullet? Well, Bite the Bullet been around for a while. Formed in 1986 by singer-songwriter Mick Benton and drummer Graham Cowling. They met in 1984 when they both joined West London rock band The Mother's Ruin. And thanks to the legendary Craig Lake, Benton managed to secure a solo deal with Atlantic Records, and he asked Cowling to play drums. It's good to see that their collaboration is still strong to this very day. In 1986, Bite the Bullet were formed and the music played was in the style of Foreigner, Toto and Mr. An album was released in 1989 to some quiet success. The music was warmly received and abandoned themselves some radio airplay. Benton and Cowling always remained friends, and they still played in pubs and clubs over the years. Which brings us up to 2019 when their debut was reissued on CD to ignite their flame in the two men and brought the original recording back to forefront again. And old fans reappraised the album whilst new fans joined in. In January 21, the year started with Black and White, followed by End of Line, and in 2022 and more recently Rocky Road. The band successfully combined their own unique sound with similarities to Mr. and Asia to produce a nice, smooth rock pop sound. Seems to me as if it's round 2 for these boys, and will they get success in what is classed as new wave of classic rock? Trish, then, let's start with you. What did you think of Bite the Bullet and Look for Paradise?
I thought the opening track was quite catchy with Dirty Water. This album is very 80s rock with the catchy sway along choruses like on Find You, Again and Again. The guitar riffs and solos are very reminiscent of that era, which always brings a smile to my face, as this was the era that I discovered and got into rock music. So when an album is done well to replicate that sound and transport me back to that time, it makes me happy. This is a nice, solid album.
Talk about nice and solid. Chris?
Geez, thanks. It doesn't surprise me. I didn't know who Bite the Bullet were before I listened to this, and it doesn't surprise me at all to hear that they are an 80s band with, rock and everything else with it. When I was listening to it, it put me in mind of that. People have been playing together for decades, know each other really well, understand what they're all trying to do, and it is a well-accomplished, it's an accomplished, well-rounded, good album. But I started my rock life, I suppose, listening to this sort of music, and I've moved away from it to a certain extent. So it was not the nostalgia trip I would have got the highest score from me. But yes, the standout track for me was things like Days of Gold. Just a kind of chill, relaxed vibe. But yeah, it wasn't what I was really. It's not the sort of thing that I'd be looking for to listen to this album.
It's funny, this album, because it kind of there is the class the phrase new wave of classic rock kind of bands out there, and I hate the phrase that when we do talk to some bands, or some bands not what he talks about, but some bands go, yes, we're keeping the flame alive, and it's like, what? There's a lot of bands out there that are trying to keep the flame alive, and you have to fall between replicating that 80s kind of sound and reliving it, or, as with true new wave of classic rock, bringing that sound into the more modern times, and adding and bring in new kind of things into that kind of classic rock sound. And for me, I think that they tried to do that, but it fell more back in line with that 80s kind of more 80s vibe without really bringing it forward, into that vibe. And there's a couple of your bands next month, for example, that do that, and they do that incredibly well. This is I agree with Chris. It's a very accomplished album. My favourite track was Run. I think this is a very, very good 80s style kind of rock album, and it is a cut above the dross that is out there. And there's a lot of dross out there that are just trying to like keep the flame alive and are doing it very, very well. This does it pretty good, really. I think it's a really solid album in that respect. So yeah, it's good. Check it out if you like 80s style rock. This is a slightly cut above some of the stuff that's out there. Really good, very well accomplished, and well performed. So Trish, then let's start with you. What did you give it? Will it get to a Hall of Fame? It's got to get 4 or more. Where does it rate in our 12 albums that we've rated this month? Let's find out then, shall we? Trish, what did you give this?
3.5.
Pretty solid. Chris?
I gave this a 3.
I also give this a 3. And Lauren give this a 2.5 from that perspective. So not getting to our Hall of Fame. They basically scored average of 3, 281st out of 428 albums, so pretty good. 88th favourite album out of 126 so far this year. And in terms of our albums of the month, they finished joint 9th with a score of 3. So 3 is pretty good. It's solid album. Check it out. You might like it more. But what did you think, though? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Please like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment below. What we do like comments, for good or for bad. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much to my wonderful panel, my 3 amigos, myself, Nigel, to Trish, and to Chris. And thank you to Lauren also. And we'll be back with a full crew. We're back with new faces and a full crew next time round. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye, and keep on rocking.